Did you maybe notice that the price of gold was up last week? Silver was down for the week, but it was up on Friday, and the S&P 500 was down almost 5% for the week, but it was a major news week. We had not one, but two banks get into serious trouble. And when we look at the details of what's going on, there's some fascinating components that we need to talk about. Ever have that situation in life where you have an event coming up and you dread it? I need to apologize to you right now, because if you hear a lot of screaming in the background, screeches and loud noises, I can assure you no one is being tortured in my house upstairs, not even the bear. But we've got 11-year-old girls at our house. They spent the night last night for a sleepover. I got to be honest, I was kind of dreading it leading up to it. But so far, so good. I just wanted to forewarn you for any loud background noise. Now let's talk about the banking situation. What does it mean when the 18th largest bank in the United States goes belly up? And that's just what happened with Silicon Valley Bank. Now, I don't know about you, but I'd never even heard of the thing before this week. But it's a big bank, and it finances a big sector of the tech industry out in, yeah, you may have guessed it, Silicon Valley. Did you hear this bank was partnered with almost half of the Silicon Valley venture capital-backed tech startups, biotech startups? This is a big deal. The 18th largest bank in the country, and what makes it even more astounding is that only 2.5% of their deposits, the money people had, these companies had in the bank, only less than 3% of it is now going to be backed by FDIC insurance. There are going to be a ton of startup companies in big financial trouble, right? That little heartbeat, that little honeycomb of innovation out in Silicon Valley. You know that company Roku? They have 25% of their money with this company. Hey, I don't know. Maybe Roku, you might be watching it later tonight and 25% of your screen's going to go black. They could find themselves in some financial trouble in the future because, hey, likely these companies are going to lose their money. There's a lot of uncertainty in the world, but I know one thing for sure. I appreciate that right now you decided to join me here in the basement. It's my honor you're here. You're special. You're unique. I hope you found a little home away from home, a little refuge in the storm, and I do want you to come back. I don't know how you feel about this, but have you ever noticed the older you get, the more you start to realize that a lot of these big institutions, big, prestigious, respectable names in the world, they don't really know any more what they're talking about than you do. As a matter of fact, Forbes, that, prestigious financial publication, they had called this Silicon Valley Bank one of the financial all-stars. They put it on their financial all-stars list just within the last year alone. What else is astounding about this situation is the company's stock price, which now is, as far as I know, essentially worthless, right? It was as high as $700 per share within the last 3 years. But what does all this mean? What does it mean on a big picture, and in particular for the precious metals?
And liftoff of Space Shuttle Atlantis, a final visit to enhance the vision of Hubble into the deepest grandeur of our universe.
And it's worth mentioning there's another bank that ran into major financial trouble this week, Silvergate. And guess who they're heavily involved with? Oh, the unicorn fart dust industry, crypto and fintech. They also closed up shop this week. Think about this, guys. Two of the biggest banks in the venture capital tech area, the crypto area, and the fintech area closed their doors this week. What does that tell you about what's going on in the tech field, right? That, again, that area that's so, esteemed and growing and in the future of America. On top of that, all we're hearing about are tech companies laying people off. Things are getting very dicey out there. We'd like to thank our sponsor, First Mining Gold. They're a Canadian gold developer with 2 world-class projects in Canada. They also have a handful of other projects. When you total up all the gold in their resources, it comes to over 12 million ounces. They're worth checking out. I'll put a link to the company's website in the description below. And what's really scary about this is these 2 banks are likely not alone. All the banks are in trouble with what's called unrealized losses. They all hold a lot of bonds, and because interest rates have gone up so high, there's an inverse, an opposite relationship between interest rates and bond values. That means that a lot of the banks, to one degree or another, are sitting on what's called unrealized losses in their bond portfolios. So if, like happened with Silicon Valley Bank, the depositors show up and want their money, well, unfortunately, the banks don't have it to give to them. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out. Interesting to see if a domino effect starts to occur. So, what does this mean for the precious metals? Let's take a deep breath, right, for a second and think about. Remember Exter's pyramid, the inverse pyramid, where at the bottom we have gold and silver. Gold and silver are the real money. Gold and silver are the base for everything. And I don't know how you feel about it, but the more I learn about this, the more I study it, and the more I'm experiencing the turmoil in the world right now, the more that makes sense. The more money will be flowing back to real money, right? Without counterparty risk. You don't have to worry about the bank, right? You've got silver, you've got gold, you've got it. You don't have to worry about somebody else fulfilling a contract, fulfilling an obligation to you. So, how do you feel about it? I feel like there will be a slow, steady building flow of capital, if we want to sound fancy, back toward the precious metals, what have always been real money. I think over the next, let's say, 5 years, maybe even 5 months, we can see very, very strong support for the precious metals. It's going to be interesting. You know I'll be here for you through it all. Thanks for joining me. Watch another video, subscribe, that's free, and I'll see you next time.